everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the ReThink Podcast. We are in the Airbnb.
The Airbnb.
Is it Airbnb or is it?
It's a VRBO.
What's the difference?
Two different companies.
Yeah.
It's the only difference, huh?
It's like AT&T and Verizon.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of Airbnbs here in Greece, but there are quite a few VRBOs. So
What people can see right now is pretty much all of it.
Yep.
It's got power and water.
Yeah. I'm washing my clothes. So
Are you?
It's working, yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
Did you bring a Tide Pod?
No.
No.
Supplied.
Oh,
Ah.
So
leave a good review.
they do.
I brought laundry detergent.
You did?
I did.
You'd be the guy. I actually brought some
You
sink
are your
packets.
father's son.
I
If I
brought,
needed
I
to.
brought 5 from the church.
From the
so-
tree.
Stolen.
You heard it
laundry
here.
detergents.
That
Wow.
is not his father's son.
Unbelievable.
This is where your tithes and offerings are going, people. Wow.
To the Tide
Tide
Pods
Pods.
for Levi.
It's been a long day.
End of day,
Yeah.
what, 4?
Yep.
It's Friday, so 5.
We've done so much driving.
It's been 5 days.
5 days.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
So how many does it feel like?
I don't know. Not that many.
really.
4
Yeah.
here.
I was going to say 15.
One of the things that's like we've talked about several times, it is a lot different from previous trips because of all the driving time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been doing my best to cut it down.
When we crisscross the sites in Israel, you remember Israel is like from Route 70 to 64, basically
Wide.
height.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
okay.
width, or your width, and cross. From Illinois to Missouri. That's it. So you don't drive 3.5 hours to get from site to site. We've been doing that every day.
We've been
Yeah.
driving to Chicago every day.
Oh man,
Like 3.5
it
hours.
shouldn't sound like I'm complaining.
No,
But it's just different, and
Yeah.
that van time's hard.
Yep.
Means we're starting early, and what time is it here now?
9 o'clock.
9
9
o'clock.
o'clock.
We're doing a podcast for you
Mm-hmm.
tonight.
Well, before we jump into what we did today, I guess maybe we should jump in a little bit, give a little context to where we're headed.
I think so.
We decided to add a new element to the podcast.
Mhm.
I'm excited about this.
Weekly segment.
I think this is going to be why people tune in.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure.
Wow.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
So my microphone went out.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Well, this is because we found that Ben has an incredible gift for lying on the go.
Sarcasm. I am quick on my feet with that stuff.
I don't mean lying in a negative sense.
Yeah, just like
For
the
comedy
sinful
purposes only. Yeah.
And so he's been making up a lot of false theology,
Yeah.
and we're impressed.
With how believably bad it is.
So we wanted
That's
to start
been on
up our
point.
segment by giving the audience 2 lies and a truth. That's really good. You want one?
Oh, I was going to do 2 truths and a lie. I'm not that good of a liar. But
We believe in you, man. You'll get there someday.
So let's give some context. So
Yeah.
today we went to Meteora, which is a collection of 6 Greek Orthodox monasteries that are suspended on these huge rock formations. Used to be 24, now there's still 6 that are active.
So far, this is all true.
Well, we're getting there. So, anyways, there are Greek Orthodox monks who live, we assume, in these monasteries. We
Never
didn't
saw
see
any of
any
them.
today, so we're not sure if they're actually there or not. But in the course of researching for this podcast purposes, we realized that they have rules to live by. And so, just to give you a couple, these are not a part of the bit
I
here.
feel like this is a trick.
No,
So are you actually starting the game?
no,
yet?
not yet, not
Okay,
yet.
But
I want
just
to give
set up
them. I want to
context.
give them some examples of
Set
things.
them up.
So, for instance, when they decide to enter the monastery, if they're accepted, they can never leave. So you are committing to a life of living in those monasteries.
I think
just among
we should
your
also clarify
fellows.
the last podcast. The people on the cable car.
Yeah, that was them. Or well, that was their workers.
That was their work.
They were
So
bringing
they don't.
takeout
They
food.
claim they don't leave, but they send their workers to town for takeout.
It's a technicality.
What?
They don't leave.
Technicalities. That's the problem with rules. Anytime you build your life around rules, you find ways to break them
Yeah.
by not breaking them.
So yeah, I mean they've got there's a lot of rules. So what we thought we would do in this edition of Two Truths and a Lie, we decided we would do that. Give you two truths and a lie based on some rules that the monks have.
I want to set this up.
Okay.
Okay, so I want you to share all three, and then the people, the trusting people, will let us know in the comments.
Okay.
What they think is. And
Can we vote too?
And then we will vote.
No, don't vote. Don't vote until the end.
Don't vote till the end.
Because we don't want to give that away.
And then, yeah, we'll vote at the end, and then you tell us the
I
truth.
usually can't tell.
You're just that good at it.
Okay.
He's a good liar.
Well, here we go. So one of there's some weird ones, stuff that you really wouldn't think would actually play into this. We've kind of talked before that they can be a little legalistic, a little rule-driven, and some of these, quite honestly, they go overboard. So,
Wasn't it like a 300-page PDF?
Yes, of rules.
Of rules.
So the first one is that monks, even though they are in the ministry, they are trying to live these holy lives, they're still humans. And what we find is that they make mistakes, and when they make a mistake, they can be thrown into monk jail. Okay? So there's rule number one. Rule number two, they're living a life of service to the Lord, but also their fellow man and fellow monk. So one of the ways that they do that is by taking different areas of the monastery's daily life and contributing to that. And so monks are like us, and they get hungry. And so every monk has to function as both a waiter at certain points for their fellow monks, and also as a chef for their fellow monks. So,
like Chef Boyardee chef.
I don't know that there are rules on what they cook. Well, actually, no. There is one. I mean, there are multiple, but here's one of those other rules. So when they cook, there are certain foods that they need to stay away from. Some for, religious reasons, others for dietary reasons. But one of the staples of the monastery life, because they're trying to live this life of they don't own anything.
You know what it is? You get lost in the setup on these. That's
so they're trying to live a life of
I want to know,
not abundance. So they're doing simple things. So one of the things that they have found is that pasta is a cheap, easy dish. However, my mom used to do it for the same reasons. Spaghetti, I hate it, but. So they can only have gluten-free pasta in the monastery.
What?
It is actually, and it's organically
If you break that rule,
harvested.
you go to prison.
Would that get you in monk jail?
It's possible. I don't know.
Assuming
if
that's real.
if you're the one cooking it. So gluten-free pasta, because the way they do that in Greece is it's more of a natural.
I'm lost
thing there. So.
Okay, so we have monk jail. We have Chef Boyardee.
Waiter and chef for
and
fellow
we
monks.
Have gluten
and gluten-free pasta.
That's a tough one.
B, or C. Comment below what you think, and then we'll reveal the answer.
Wait, are we voting on the truth or the lie?
You're voting on the lie. Which one do you think is not true?
But not
so
yet.
I'll let you guys think about it.
Not
Ready?
yet.
You know,
Don't
it's
do
cherry
it.
season
Ready?
here.
Whoa! That's so loud.
The
You
cherries.
can find some clapping.
The cherries are ripe right now. These are incredible.
They're also rotten.
Some of them rotten. The guy we got them off of on the sidewalk was a little shady.
It was 3 days ago.
And they've been in a hot van.
What do we call these?
91 degrees outside today.
These are
Nectarines.
They're incredible too.
They're really good.
They haven't turned fuzzy
All right,
yet.
Levi.
They don't turn.
Which
fuzzy.
one's the lie? Which one?
Oh, you want me to
Yeah,
answer?
go
now?
ahead.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
We got to pick. Okay. You don't know.
I'm going C.
Well, you're not on the tour.
Well, you know what I got to say to that? I don't really know. I just found that out earlier. It's so cool.
We are really stepping up our game.
You know there were sound effects on this. No wonder Jordan would never let us near this.
Do that one again. That was cool.
I thought that I've been waiting for that.
But I don't know if I'm right
What's
or
this
wrong
one?
right now.
Oh,
Okay.
There you go.
You're right.
That is a.
this one's long. Oh wait, you gotta do it again.
Oh, my
You gotta
goodness.
people just
Studio audience went wild.
All right, C. Blumker, what do you think?
C.
Yeah,
Jeff?
see. Gluten-free is a modern American phenomenon.
Going with C as well.
Gluten didn't happen.
Birthed
until
out
this-
of the Greek Orthodox monk.
No. Birthed out of the modern farming practice of fast harvest.
Okay.
Wheat used to...
How do you know all this?
This is insane.
Wheat
You got
used to ferment. You know, they cut it and pile it and it'd ferment. That consumes the gluten element of wheat.
Well,
Maybe. We don't know yet. I haven't revealed the answer.
all right. Let's hear it.
Van Heijen's got a guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go a little different route
Okay.
Uh-oh.
because I really think that
There's only 3 choices.
they're not forced to cook and chef for the others.
Based on why? What's your reasoning for that?
Well, I think that they probably,
own.
if they have people who are bringing them food from from town, and if they're having people come and do the gardening, and if they're having all that, then I think that they're not going to be cooking for themselves.
So
I think
not
that
only
they-
the monasteries were there, but these holes in the rocks, these cave holes they carved out, and they would live in these holes and lower buckets down. And the people of the town would, I don't know if they still do that, but they put food in. I guess now they use the cable car and they send the servants
Well,
down.
now they just order on their app.
DoorDash.
But they used to. The townspeople would send them up food. They
Yeah.
just live in a hole.
Yeah.
So I really think that
Historically,
they
I
don't
think
cook
you
for
may
each
be
other.
onto that.
Yeah, that's my answer.
So are we going to allow them to comment and then reveal
go
it
ahead,
at the end
go
of the
ahead
show?
and comment, and then Ben will tell the truth at the end of the show.
Okay.
That's how we'll end it.
Okay. All right. Cool.
That rolls.
All right. Okay, so
So we had a few interesting things today too. Little fender bender.
went there.
Yep.
Run in with the Greek authorities.
Yep.
Got run out of a national park, UNESCO
Well, actually, we
World
went
Heritage
inside.
Site. We
Kind of were.
kind of were, since it's the whole place. It's a national
Our
park.
equipment was inside. We weren't.
And to be clear, we didn't get in trouble.
No.
No.
Stefan got in trouble.
Stefan did.
Well, we didn't.
We tried to tell him stop.
Yeah, we said, Stephanos, we don't care if you're a Greek Spartan. Like, you can't do this stuff.
You got to play by the rules, man.
Come on.
It's not us, it's you.
Been an interesting day.
I really think if they didn't want us to do those things, they should have put a sign up. That's just me.
Right.
That's very Western
Yeah.
as well.
There's no sign about.
They have do not enter signs. They have stop signs. They have eat here signs. They have get gas here signs.
We've seen a lot of those.
Parking-
stop
parking
every
spots.
time.
You just obey the signs.
Yep.
Signs everywhere.
Oh,
Signs.
look at you.
Out
Yeah.
of curiosity, what were your thoughts from what you observed today in the monasteries and the seclusion and all that stuff?
I was just thinking there's no way I could be a monk.
I'd love it.
Jeff actually signed up. We're driving him off
I mean, as long
tomorrow.
as my wife can go.
Yeah, that's actually not part of it.
That is one of the other 300 pages of
Right.
rules. No wives.
Big no. You had to cover your shoulders and your knees.
Well,
I didn't know where you were going.
I honestly think for me the Jeff made the best observation, and I hadn't really thought about it, but
Remember why?
well, yeah. Here are these people that 600 years ago
is that what it was?
climbed up on a mountain and said, we want to seclude ourselves in holiness and righteousness, and we want to live apart. And then they end up building these mansions on top of these mountains where thousands of people go to visit.
Yeah, in their efforts
almost
to
like
retreat from the world, they drew the world.
The world to them. And you said that, and I was like, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a weird concept to me to seclude yourself from the world and make those rules. And
so we talked about the like Simon Stylites was one of the first to do that. He
on the pole.
First century, Levi, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He climbed up on a pole and lived there for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in an effort to find righteousness, you have to remove yourself from temptation. So there is some truth to that. It's not a bad thing to abstain from sinful activity, right? I mean, we would promote that. But you're not necessarily going to do that just by removing yourself from the world. I still follow myself everywhere that I go. I'm the problem. Now, I can make it more difficult for me to be making the right choice, but I can make the wrong choice no matter where I'm at.
But don't we do that a little bit in our own lives anyway? Of like, you mess up and you sin, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need to, do these things to make it right. And so you spend an hour reading scripture the next day because you feel guilty for whatever you messed up. And so it's that kind of.
But they're a step before that. They're saying, for instance, if seeing a woman's shoulder, if that's going to lead me into a lustful thought, then I can't see her shoulder, right? Which is not, again, that's not necessarily a bad path to take. But my struggle with it is there's a balance there too, because we're called as Christ followers to impact the world. And how do you impact the world if you retreat from it?
Yeah.
But there's got to be a balance, and I don't know where it's at for everybody. I don't always know where it's at for me.
Yeah, I think just reflecting on that whole idea is there's actually a lot of selfishness in it, because it's to seek your own righteousness rather than the righteousness of God. I don't know.
It becomes a major problem at the end, because no matter how far you retreat, you still are not righteous.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you could prevent all sin in the future, you can't pay the price for the sin you've committed in the past.
My personal favorite one, not necessarily Simon who lived on a pole, but the guy that would bury himself in sand every day and then would be unburied. That's pretty devoted too. To a kind of a weird way of practicing your faith.
Makes no sense.
I think this idea of living in the world but not of the world is, like as Jeff mentioned, like it's a struggle and has been forever. But I think on a personal level, that's what I'm trying to figure out too, because you watch everything that comes at us, social media, news, whatever, and my natural thought is like, just get away, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Sometimes you need to.
Yeah.
As we're walking through, I'm wondering, how do these guys interpret Matthew 28? Because they're surrounded by just one another.
Yeah.
Other people who are out seeking their own holiness and righteousness and have cut themselves off from the world. So how are they fulfilling that? And I don't know how you can reconcile Matthew 28 without just simply ignoring it. So as we were walking through there, I mean, they've got all this ornate stuff. They've preserved a lot, and we talked about that, during the day, was just how they have preserved some old copies of Scripture. And so for that, that's a great thing. But even in that, they're still isolating themselves and missing the call that Jesus has given his disciples. And so I don't know, it's just interesting to see how they could reconcile that. Of course, we didn't see one today, so we didn't get to talk to one and ask. So
but would
also
they
one of their
able to
rules is
answer?
they don't have to talk if they don't want to or have to or something, so they may not.
That's a sweet rule.
But that one's true. That was for free.
Blumker, what are some of the ways that you work with our leaders who then in turn work with our groups.
Well, we started monasteries. No, a lot of it's life on life. So it is the antithesis of what we witnessed today. It's spending time with them, eating meals with them, being invested in each other's lives, and modeling the commands of Jesus. And so walking with people in faith, with faith, to point them towards Jesus. And then when they mess up, like showing them grace and showing them what the gospel does. It doesn't just save us eternally, but it saves us in the present. So it has saved us, it is saving us, and will save us. And, trying to model that for them in order to help them lead others and point others to Christ as well.
I'm just out of curiosity, how many of you are like this? Okay, so I'll paint you this picture. You tell me how you react to this. I'm finding that the older that I get, and I don't know if it's the larger amount of people that come to Christ Church or what, but I'm having to find myself and make myself be around the right people. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm having to be intentional about not secluding, but being with people. I feel like I'm at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, I feel like in the last...
Are you an introvert or an extrovert by nature?
Well, I would have said extrovert, but I feel like I've been drifting more towards introvert. I don't know. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at, trying to figure that out. Yeah. But with my group, for instance, like, I love when they're there, and I'm sure they're not watching this, but it's like, making sure that I'm available, for that night of the week, whenever it is I have to make myself do that. I don't know why.
I don't have that problem.
You don't have that problem? And I go through seasons, and I think for people who are listening to this, there's some people who don't have that problem, and there's some people that are like, I don't know. There's
I
both.
have that problem because I don't feel let me say this carefully. I feel relationally full, and I don't feel a need for more new relationships. So I've got to fight myself on that because I think that's a part of my responsibility, not just as a job-wise, but as a Christ follower. We have to connect with people so that we can make a difference in their life. But that's hard for me, and that people think that's weird because I'm totally comfortable up front, but I'm up front by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think
it's a weird thing, but I think
for me, it's part of what you said to Jeff and I and anybody else on our staff. We ruin groups. You know what I mean? And so I think that's because I am okay with being by myself teaching because that's me. But when there's a whole group of people, I feel like I naturally have to jump in and lead it, and that's not always a healthy thing.
Yeah.
So
I think I feel the pressure to have a relationship with most people. And obviously then that's not possible. You go through these cycles of being relationally burnt out. And so I would say I'm an introverted extrovert. Like I enjoy people. I like making people laugh, but I also know that I got to have time away from people by myself to recharge. Otherwise, I'm just going to be burnt out and seclude myself even further. And so, I think one of the things that helps is delegating certain things to other people, but also realizing that the impact of the ministry is going to be severely hampered if it's all dependent upon me. Mm-hmm. If I'm pouring into, 3 people who are pouring into 3 people and, so forth, they're at the end of the day, they're going to reach way more people than I could by myself. So, but that's a hard balance to find because if I'm not careful, I can go right into seclusion and isolation real quick.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is because
I'm like, what is wrong with you people? I want to be around people like all the time.
Yeah,
that's what gets me feel. If I'm by myself, I go insane. Like even thinking about the monasteries today, I was like,
made you go nuts.
I was like, there is no way. I would be like running up and down the hills trying to find people.
Yeah, there was a little room in the second one where it was like it almost looked like a
broom closet.
No, that was another one.
That was the other door.
But there was a room, I don't know what it was, like a bedroom. It was tiny. It had an outlet and a light and a little bookshelf. And I thought, man, I could spend like 6 hours in there with just a book and a bed, and I'd be great.
That's because you're tired.
I was tired at that point, but yeah.
I know for me, it's really easy for me to maintain like surface level relationships, but it's a lot harder to like really have a deeper relationship with other people. And so like one of the things that I have in my phone, you can pin your messages to the top. So like obviously my wife is first, but then I pinned
Good call.
the 3 other guys in our life group right at top, so that way hopefully I'm intentional and I'm like every time I open up my phone, messages, I see them and like, how can I be more intentional and not just stay surface, but also.
Are you doing that right now?
I need to pin my wife to the top.
Yep, she's number 1. That's all I got.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm more like Andrew, and I think isolation's not a good tool to help me grow in any way. So I've always want to be around people. I'm the guy who wants to go to the coffee shop in the morning. I don't even care if anyone's there that I'm specifically meeting. It just means there's interaction going on. I don't do well sitting in my living room just watching TV or mowing the yard for an hour is tough because I'm all by myself. So, no, I know it's a weird deal.
Put in a podcast, and
I like mowing, but it's that isolation thing. So, I think relationships are important, and I think that's just listening to the conversation. I think that's what makes the kingdom work, and that's what makes teams work, and that's what makes we're all gifted in some other different kind of way. So God kind of gives us that opportunity to use those abilities and the uniqueness of our lives and personalities to make the world go round. So I feel like that's really important too.
And that's really why I wanted to bring it up, because there's 2 different kinds of people that are watching. The people who are like that, like they could be around people like crazy, and the people that kind of struggle to get into groups because they're just a little bit nervous about being around people. But you said it perfectly. I mean, it's about being together and doing this together. Mm-hmm. And that's why there's, how many of us are sitting around this room? 7 of us with
too many.
Stefan. Exactly.
That's why I took a walk. Got back. I disappeared for a little bit. I was like, we've been stuck together. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool when we realize like we're part of the kingdom and we all need to bring our specific part to the team.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, I'm the exact opposite. I was in there laying on the bed, just trying to stretch my back out, and I'm hearing all the conversation here, and I'm like, I should go in there and talk. Nobody was talking about anything, but I felt like I was missing out on something that maybe was happening. So, yeah, it's just a really different way of kind of working things out.
Yeah.
The final thing on the monks that I was thinking about today a lot is that striving for righteousness through sacrifice, struggle, separation. I don't know how, all those things are a part of their life. You're never going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we're setting up on the top of the monastery of the Holy Trinity. That's the one James Bond movie. Mm-hmm. What was it you said?
For Your Eyes Only.
For Your Eyes Only.
My favorite part of your video when
Roger
you said
Moore.
Roger Moore.
Yeah.
You said this is for your eyes only.
Yeah. You like that? That was good. We'll have to show that sometime.
But we're all up on top, and there's a cross there on the top, like in the corner of the yard. And I wanted to do my video there, and we was waiting for these people to move. Who finds out as we finally got tired of waiting and moved away from the cross, they were waiting on us to move, but being really patient. And so I thought, okay, that was the problem to my problem. But I stood back and watched, and there's several more people. Every person that came up there on the top went over to the cross. Now, it was a good photo op spot.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just kind of draw it. But there's just also something about most of those people, I'm going to venture to guess, don't go to church anywhere. They may be believers.
You didn't ask them?
I didn't. 97% of the people who are in Greece, and what you said,
91% would say they're Christian.
Yeah.
3%
go.
of those would go to
So
church.
a lot of these people would say they're Christians, but so maybe the cross has that message. The only way to get it is the gift that he gives through Christ. And a lot of those practices the monks are participating in, they may end up being a good thing, but they will not make them righteous.
Yep. Yeah, that's the whole key. There's actually a lot of spiritual value in meditation and reflection. Being in Scripture, like all those things, even pulling away for a time to recharge. But that's not what saves you. That's not what,
Maybe the word in it is sanctification.
Yeah.
That process of being set apart to become more like Christ. Those play more a role in that than they do. They don't make us righteous. They do make us sometimes to be more like Jesus, but after he has transformed us from the inside out.
And they're used to grow our faith in order to be able to share the gospel and bring others and point others to Jesus. Not just for our own righteousness.
It's my stomach.
Is that what
that was? Yeah. I'm not hungry. But
man, we have been having some good food.
Yeah.
Ben made a statement today at lunch. He said, quote, "Best thing you've had here."
Yeah. Moussaka. It's like a Greek shepherd's pie. I don't know what kind of meat was in it. Some ground meat with spices, eggplant, some potatoes that were like perfectly layered with a little bit of browning on top and bottom. My goodness. It was just out of this world. So, best thing I had.
All right, well,
I got to think that's what they're sending up to the top of the mountain. Is
you think?
Moussaka.
Moussaka.
Yeah, you had it today too, didn't you?
I had it, and it was heavenly.
Best thing you've had?
Heavenly.
Heavenly.
Was it the best thing you've had?
I don't. Yeah, I would think so.
Oh, yeah.
Aside from the Greek salad, man, I'm hooked.
You've been a machine when it comes
love
to the Greek salad.
Greek salad.
Yep.
Wow, that feta cheese puts everything into perspective.
really brings it home.
Really brings it.
I had no
I have
idea
a new perspective on life.
how much I love feta cheese.
I had baked. It was feta and some form of orange cheese with some sauce, a little bit of tomato sauce with some sun-dried tomatoes, and then it was baked in a clay pot. Baked cheese. It was amazing. Heavenly. No. Amazing.
I wasn't sure if we needed to clap or not. Well, Farley, we're going to end the podcast, and you need to tell the truth. Okay.
Okay. So the first truth. Why don't I reveal it one at a time to build suspense?
Sure.
And give us, more of a podcast length here. So the first truth is monk jail is a thing.
Huh.
It is forbidden for a younger monk to not listen to an older monk. So if you guessed A, what's wrong with you? It's incorrect.
Maybe you should go to monk jail.
You may be headed there. The second truth is all monks must act as servers and chefs for their fellow monks.
See, I read the handbook.
For the good of monkkind.
The good of
monkkind.
So that means yes. This was an easy one for the first one, but gluten-free, it's not a thing in the monk world. They love gluten, I'm assuming. And so
we didn't get to talk.
Believe me, they're in Greece. They're fine with gluten.
I would have asked.
Oh man, there's a lot of gluten.
Yeah.
If you're gluten-free, you're not eating around here.
We haven't had much pasta, but if you've noticed at all the roadside cafes, they all sell bags of pasta.
Yeah.
So, fun tidbit. But
2 truths in a lie.
everything you ever want to know and more about Greek Orthodox monks.
I do know something that Greeks eat that the monks eat that is gluten free though is monk fruit.
Oh.
I think that's where it's got its name from.
Yep.
Huh.
I think so.
You know what?
Wow. That was well done. Well done.
How long have you been holding up?
Oh, man.
Since we came down the mountain.
Hold on to it. It's 12 hours.
I gotta wait for the podcast.
That's good.
All right. We'll
Way
see
to
you
go.
tomorrow night on the next ReThink Podcast. Thanks.